Hello and welcome to Keeping It Real with the Sisters of the Light. I'm annkuether here with Terri-Ann Russell. Hello. And Cherie is already with us. Hello,
It's already
Cherie.
on. Let me pull up my chat here.
Oh my
Hi,
gosh, I absolutely
Cherie.
love
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Hello, Cherie. And I need to excuse my voice. I don't need to excuse this. I'm going
Yeah.
through something. Like I was blaming it on I was just talking to Terri-Ann. I was blaming it on allergies, but I really think there's something going on. I had a family reunion, and there's some of my family members, I think they're going through not speaking their truth or they're holding back on something. And I'm thinking I'm putting that energy out there. I might be grasping, but I feel good. It's just my throat. And normally when that happens, that's because I'm not speaking my truth, but I feel like I'm speaking my truth. So I think I'm holding on to their energy. So I need to start doing a lot of purging, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Go through those chakras and those energy fields clear. And, doing that too, that may bring up some stuff for yourself too that you need to clear out. A lot of times when it's about others, it's in the fourth level of the energy field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you're doing any clearing, look at that fourth level of the energy field specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. Because last night I was telling you just a few minutes ago, I woke up at 3:35 and I haven't been prompted to go look up the number on my phone in a long time. Usually when I wake up in the middle of the night, I just go to the bathroom or whatever. But last night it was like, look at the time. And then I looked at the time, 3:35. And then from 3:35, it was like, okay, why? And what came up on that number was learning the difference between compassion and sympathy. I'm needing to, pretty soon, I'm going to need compassion to work with people that are less fortunate and have compassion towards them, not so much sympathy, but compassion. And that resonated very, very highly with me right now in where I'm at and stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm like, wow, okay, light bulb,
It makes sense because sometimes, I mean, look at it. Compassion is so, people will be like, well, what's the difference? But look at compassion. You can have compassion for somebody, what they've gone through. When you have
Right.
sympathy, you're sort of making them the victim. Like it's, oh
Yeah.
my God, that poor person. And, how could they go through that? And they must have really had a hard life. And so sympathy is a little bit different. It's almost like you're making, I would say, like victimizing them versus compassion, which is really understanding what somebody's been through,
Right.
recognizing that pain, that suffering, but without going into that space where you're taking it on or you're feeling it. And
Yeah.
there's a fine line when we do this work to be able to stay in that space of neutrality.
Yeah, and I think where I am right now in this time, um, like, I'm gonna say where I live, I love it. I love my home. I love the farmland and everything. Um, the people in town are so nice, but that's where I have to learn compassion. Right? I have to learn compassion. I'm used to coming from somewhere where if I want something, I get that quick gratification. Even if it's just going to Starbucks, I could just normally get in my car, go to Starbucks. If I want to go shopping and I want to get something, well, then I just go to the mall and I get it. Here, there is no quick gratification. You have to literally drive over an hour. And I know some people are like, oh my God, just an hour. Because believe me, I was one of those people in California. You had to drive to get to somewhere. But it's an hour of back roads and you don't get that quick gratification. And especially now with gas and stuff like that, you can't just get in a car and go. It makes you think before you just get in the go to get something that you really don't need.
Yeah.
But I know that there's a lesson in here for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to just work on that. And that's what's so beautiful about this is I know that when I get these messages, and we do stuff like this, there is a message. Before I would just be like, okay, whatever. But now it really makes me sit and say, okay, Ann, what are you supposed to learn now?
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
it doesn't, there's no coincidence that last week we did this past life regression with
I
you.
say that. I was just going to say, and that's why I love this session. Terri-Ann last week did a past life regression on me. And if any of you haven't done that before, I highly suggest that you reach out to her and have it done. I used to be afraid of it because I used to think, oh my gosh, what are they going to do? Knock me out? And then, what you see on Hollywood or on
Think
the,
of my mind.
yeah, people barking like chickens, or she's going to tell me to take off my top or whatever. But the way you do it in your voice and stuff that you bring you back, it's past life. It is definitely hypnosis, right? You're actually putting me under hypnosis, right?
It's we consider like deep relaxation, if you want to, almost like meditation, but a little bit deeper in that theta state. So the theta brainwaves is what you access when you
Yeah.
meditate before,
Yeah.
like when you're right going to sleep. That's all theta. So
Mm.
it's deep relaxation, and that's where we can access the subconscious at that point. It's like, just take yourself out of the picture for a moment, right? Picture you're going into a light hypnosis or relaxation. Your conscious mind steps out of the way. So all of those memories, your life, your past life, your future life, your in-between lives, that's all access, like the Akashic records.
Mm.
That's all in your subconscious mind. That's the library of it
Right.
all. And so what people think sometimes is, oh, what are you doing? But it's your subconscious, your guide. What I like to tell clients is, I'm not doing anything to you. I guide you through this deep relaxation process. And your higher self, because a lot of people will say, well, you're going to tell me. And I'm like, no, you're going to tell me.
Mhm.
It's your subconscious, your higher self speaking. So you're going to tell me what you're seeing. And more than one occasion, I can probably count them on my hands, the number of times people have told me it's my voice that is the healing. My voice, I don't need to do anything specifically, but my voice is what carries the healing frequency for the healing to occur. But also sometimes when you're in that subconscious state, just understanding what that is. Like, say you had a fear. I have clients that have come in for like fear of drowning, and they've never drowned in this life. They've never had an incident. They're from a baby. They're scared of having their head underwater. That's all a subconscious memory from a past life where they've probably drowned in that life. And so
Mhm.
once you access that life, you're able to understand then what it is. And it's not yours, right? You're like, this has never happened to me. I don't know why I feel like this. So a lot of times, all of those fears, those phobias, unless something happened to you in this life, which can also be accessed in a regression, because even in this life, any memories that you have can be accessed and healed.
Right. Right. Yeah. Because I do have to say, yeah, you brought me back. It's peaceful, but it's so weird because you're present, but yet you're not present. Like I know my surrounding, I feel my surrounding, I feel very safe when I was in it. And it bums me out that here we are, two people, we do this every freaking week and we didn't even videotape it. We should have videotaped it. I'm like,
Yeah.
why did we not? So people can see that, yeah, I just go into a quiet, yeah, like almost a sleep state, but I still know my surroundings. But what's really different about this time you did it, I've had it done before, and I was brought back, and the first time I ever did it, I was a dungeon. And, the feet, I knew I was a man. And what resonates with me is like, I said to her, it is what it is. Cause she's like, well, how do you feel like being in a dungeon? And I'm like, oh, well, it is what it is. The time, it is what it is. And even to this day, that is one of the phrases I just say all the time. It is what it is. But this time, was so weird because it brought me back and there was an octopus. Like it was so whacked. She brought me to Atlantis and it was an octopus and I couldn't get the gold and everything of what I wanted was underneath this octopus and his hands were holding everything. So anytime I went to go grab something that I wanted or desired, the octopus would stop me and there was like a message in there. It was just the craziest thing, but it also was an opening. It made me realize, oh wow, I need to do some work, and it brought out some work. But my question to you on this, what okay, I worked with people with Akasha records, right? Getting them to the answers. What do you think the difference is between past life and Akasha records?
I don't think there's really a difference. The Akashic
Oh,
records, if you want to explain it, it's more like a library
a
of
library of what I think our soul came here to do. Our past lives, future lives, what's going to happen lives is like we can get a little, if we get the right questions, the permission from our spirit guides, we can go in, open that book, and we can get that information from them.
right.
Right.
And so a lot of times what comes through for that is there trauma. Like when we look at a past life, a lot of time there's some trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Something occurred in that past life. And so viewing that, like the client understands now, they're being walked through that again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually bring people through the death unless there's something specific that they want to do at looking at that particular moment in time. But I
Right.
have done that. That is also very freeing, I guess, because you
Mm-hmm.
understand then that there is life after death. You do come back. You know,
Right.
a lot of people in this world now, we have such a fear of dying, but when you understand that death is just another passage to another life, like where my son is in spirit, he's explained it. He's there. He's got, like, he showed me almost recently, because I was like, oh my God, this TV screen, and he's watching us on the channel. And so anytime that we need him, he can
Mm.
be right here. So
Right.
it's
Right.
like it's that close. Think of it as it's another world. It's another dimension, but it's that close.
Right.
You
Right.
can't see it or feel it or access it if you don't know how to, or if your frequency is not high enough.
Right. Right. So
So the
okay.
mind is like another access to those Akashic records, if you want to
Right.
look at it like
So
that.
the Akasha, it's almost like a time traveling machine or library. It can help us with what's going on now. It can help us what going on in the future. It can give us some taste of what's going in the back. As the past life regression, I think that is useful because in order for us to understand what's going on for the here and now and to move forward, it's used to help clear us up of what's holding us back, what's getting us stuck.
Yeah, let me give you a perfect example. So, like, someone's
Do
been
it.
betrayed before in a
Okay.
past life, or in this life, they've also had this extreme betrayal.
Okay.
So they feel like, in a way, that they can't trust anybody, that they're going to be betrayed again, that they don't deserve the happiness that they believe they deserve.
Right.
By accessing the past memories, and so it coincides because you have the past memories, but then you also have the memories if it happened in this life as well. So
Hmm.
think of it as a twofold. Every time something happens in a past life and your soul comes back now, the soul hangs on to that in their cellular memory. That's the lesson. They learned a lesson at that time, and now they've come back in this life, but maybe they didn't succeed in that lesson at that time. So now they're back in this life and they've set up these things again. And so if it is something like betrayal and your ex cheats on you,
Hmm.
that pattern again is accessed and it's relived, because the soul is trying to learn and grow from that. And then
Right.
when do you get to the point that you say, okay, this is all past stuff, and even if it happened in this life, the person can start to understand it. So we don't only do past life regression. That's why I call it spiritual hypnosis, because
Mm.
it's not always we're going to a past life. It could be in between. It could be on another planet. It could be future.
Yeah. I love
It
that.
can be so many things, but
Yeah.
people resonate with past life. They
Yeah.
think there's such a separation between past, present, and future, and
But
there
there's
really is not. So when we're accessing it, you're accessing past, present, future. It's all happening at once right now. Like
right.
we said, deja vu, and we've talked
Hmm.
about parallel lives and all this. It's all happening. So you have access to all of that.
Right. Right. Yeah. See, I love that. And I love the way that you said spiritual because I think it is. I think if we use that more, the spiritual regression, I think I like that word better because it's a learning. Because when I do past life regression, it almost the first thing is I want to say a false. What did I do wrong or what went wrong? And sometimes it doesn't have to be anything wrong, right?
No, because think about it. I had a
Mm,
client recently who was she was very controlling in this life.
mhm,
Turns out through a past life regression, she was a general in an army, and I forget what war it was, but
mm,
she had to be controlling. And then
right,
what they showed her, what her subconscious showed her, was the general and being controlling and doing everything. But then what her higher self showed her was that every time she does that with her husband and her son, she makes them smaller and smaller and smaller.
mm,
And so she understood now, because we have the logical brain when you come out
right,
of it. The logical brain then understands, okay, I don't need this anymore. I don't need to be controlling. I'm not living in that. So the cellular memory houses all that. Your soul does not differentiate between then and now. Your soul is your soul, right? So it
right.
carries on every life, here to grow, learn, and evolve. So it's carrying that within you. And that's why sometimes you don't understand what that is that you're holding on to, that may not be even yours, but your soul's.
Yeah, or somebody else's energy from way back
Mhm.
then that wasn't even yours, and you've been holding on to it for so, so long.
Right.
Yeah. Now, what do you think? I know they say that some of the benefits from doing the past life regression is like
Mm.
anxiety, depression, fears. Um, what are some other
Trauma. I
trauma?
work with a lot of trauma-based clients, so a lot of times there is past trauma that comes up. Um, Abuse. I'll give you an example. I had a client that felt she was abused physically in this lifetime, but she had no memories of being abused in this lifetime.
Oh,
So we went back to a past life regression, and she was abused. So I took her through in a regression where she could actually save that child, pull that child out, pull that child to herself. So it was an inner healing, an inner child healing as well that happened during the regression. And so that's what I say. During all my regressions, they're so different. I never know what to expect going in.
right.
Um, some people, I've never had one that's the same.
Mhm.
Some people are going in to uncover their abilities. What are they looking for? They'll come to me and they'll say, "I know I have abilities. I feel like I can read people or I get a vibe, but I just don't know how to access them." And so sometimes just doing a past life regression opens those doors, because the subconscious is so powerful. That's why when we talk about anything with the mind, right? Your
Mhm.
mind can make or break you. Here's a perfect example. The other night I had a panic attack. I've never had a panic attack in my life.
Uh,
Um, I was so in my mind. I was in my head. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was having a heart attack. I really had to talk myself off the ledge, and I
mhm.
kept bringing in white light, bringing in white light, bringing in white light, and it maybe only lasted 10 minutes,
Right.
but what I got when I tuned in was this emotional dump from what my soul and myself have experienced. And I've told you before, I've discussed this openly on the show. I've had a traumatic life. And a lot of that is still carried within my energy field and my physical body. So I've done tremendous work to get there, but this emotional dump, and I was experiencing it now so intensely, this needed to happen, and then it uncovered other stuff now. So okay, we're ready to go. And you and I talked about this earlier, is that if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it.
Right.
It's not to put any fear in you, but where we're going, you've got to do this inner work. There's more that each of us need to do, because where we're going, we've got to hold the light for a lot of people as we go forward into the fall. We've talked about the fall being a very tumultuous period.
Yeah.
So us, the ones who are going to be holding that light, have got to be clear.
Yeah.
We all say we're clear, right? But when we do our work, but then we go through these periods again where everything's like this,
Mhm.
and then we go up. Our intuition is great, spot on, and then we're like, damn, down in the
Oh,
dumps.
and I hate when it goes down in the dump. Oh my gosh, do I hate when it goes down in the
That's
dump.
where I am right now.
But that
Pouring.
oh, it is, and that's the roller coaster, but it's the most beautifulest thing. But like
Mhm.
I was saying earlier, is that when we know it and we're aware of it, then that's when you stop and you can ask yourself, where is this coming from?
Right.
Why am I experiencing this? What needs to be done? Right? And I think
Because if
when
somebody didn't know, they would have gone to the hospital maybe and thought they were having a heart attack. I mean, I really felt
right.
it in my chest, in my heart.
Oh, I used to get panic attacks all the time.
Really? Oh my
All the
gosh.
time. And, it's so funny that you said that because that was the panic attacks actually was when I was really starting to open up to my psychic abilities more
Mm,
and more. I mean, to the point where when I'm driving down the street, I felt like my car windows and the car was getting so small and everything was coming in. I'd have to pull over and just tell myself, okay, Ann, you're just having a heart attack. You're just having a heart attack, excuse me, a panic attack. You're just having a panic attack. It's going to go away in a few minutes. Just keep on breathing, girl. And then
right.
it would go away. But then when I started doing the more deep, okay, but why am I
Why?
having it? And then I started listening to myself and what I was getting. That's when it was like, oh, wow, wow. It's because I'm hearing the spirits more and I'm paying attention more. And then, but because of that, I was paying attention more. Then I started journaling what I was getting more. And the more I did that, then the anxiety and that panic attacks, they started subsiding
Mm,
because I was getting aware, you
right.
know? And I think for you getting it, now I don't understand, you have been under a lot of stress and stuff, but I think it's a way for you're getting all that dumping, you know what I mean? And I think sometimes it's the outside world, we're just trying to make things work, and yet the spiritual world is still trying to dump us and give us the information, and it's just overload, you know what I mean? It's like trying to stuff too much in that canister and trying to put that lid on. It's like it's not going to work and things going to explode. And so maybe that's what happened to you, it's just
Right.
over.
So you have to be aware of it. There's so many things that go into what we're doing.
Mhm.
Inner work, it's not for the faint of heart. We said that before. It
Always say
really
it.
goes intense and it goes deeply and it makes you look at those things you don't want to look at.
Right.
Believe me, there's things I did not want to look at the past week. And, I think Monday to Tuesday, I finally started to feel like myself again.
Oh,
I mean, it
God.
was like I was in that old space. It's like everything seemed to it was like a room was closing in, like everything seemed to be different again. And I was in this room and it was
Yeah.
closing in and it became like too much. And I was like, okay, what is that? I got to do more clearing, more healing, more,
Mhm.
and just rest and be in that space. Man, that space is the worst space ever. I mean, I know we say it's a beautiful space, but it hurts. It's painful. I described it because Aunt came in and he's like, breathe, mom, breathe.
Yeah.
And I was like, described it as like I was walking down like a dark hallway and I could feel these emotions and see them dropping off of me and these thoughts and these beliefs. And it was painful that they were leaving because I've held on to those for so long,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And so past life regression, think about it, it brings things to the surface. It's another one of those modalities that brings things to the surface for you to look at. If you're not ready to look at them, you don't have to look at them. You could come
Right.
in at a past life regression, say, well, that didn't really mean anything to me, whatever. Stuff comes up for you. No, I don't want to look at it. You shut it down again. It's totally up to you. You have free will to do whatever you wish to do with it.
Yeah. I was just going to ask that when you bring you, like how you date, I think you're right. If I didn't feel comfortable to go where I went, I still had control over
What the hell is that?
naked. We have heaven. Woohoo! That's what somebody
Wow.
said. We have heaven.
I wonder if we
Um,
could block that.
I think.
Like we're getting spammed totally right now.
Oh, come on.
You guys like have nothing else better to fucking do. Block this user.
Whoa, language.
I'll block them. Like, yeah, this
Um,
pisses me off. Like, you want to see the hood come out in the spiritual world.
um, but what was I going to say? I forgot what I was. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So when you're in the past life regression and you're in it, and when you were asking me some of my questions, if I didn't feel comfortable in answering it, even when I was like, I'm not sure, but when I relaxed myself and gave myself permission to do it, that's the key word, permission. And then it even flowed more. And then I got more aha moments myself in doing that. So you
Yes,
can.
because
So
some
when you're
people will
in it,
block.
people don't realize that, oh my gosh, I have to say it. No, you don't have to say it. If it feels comfortable, then you can put it out
A
there.
lot of people
Yeah.
will second guess it. They're trying to like see, feel, hear, know. Just imagine it. All this information is coming in, and if you're really not sure how to intuit information, you're like, well, I think it's like a bridge, and
Mm, mhm.
it's long and it looks scary. It's dark. It's like at night, but I'm like at the edge of the bridge, and I feel like I want to jump, but I'm not sure. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so
Yeah.
they second guess what that is, and I have to walk them through that. It's okay.
Mhm.
Um, just tell me what's going on. Just be the observer. Sort of separate yourself from that scene, but be the observer of it. Almost like if you remember Scrooge, the
Yeah.
Christmas, right? You remember how the ghost took him to see past, present, and
Right,
future.
right, right, right.
He
Yeah.
was the observer of what was
River.
going on. So if
Mhm.
it does get intense for a client, I'll take them into that observatory state where they're
Right.
just. And so when I do that, a lot of times, if I have a client like that are very tense, I will go in there with them. And
Mhm.
so I'll bring myself in into their scene and walk through it with them together, because I find that that's like the best way.
Yeah.
Um,
'Cause they feel safe. They feel you know what I mean? They don't feel so vulnerable in what they're saying and stuff. And I love that I think even now today when, for me working even on myself to day-to-day life, when I'm even on riding my motorcycle or stuff, I really try to say, "Okay, and let's be the observer." So I can really look through different lens of how things work and how people and it's kind of interesting. But I love the past life regression. I think I think everybody should have it done. I
mm.
really do. I think it
Think
opens the
about it
door.
too. Like if you've been drawn to a place or drawn to a food,
Mm,
um, you know, if you have a love affair with like Paris, there's an affinity there that you've never been there, but there's
right.
something about it. Or, Bali, mine is Bali. I have a lot of Tibetan Indian roots
Hmm.
that I've uncovered through past lives. So that all resonates with me. Mantras, chanting,
Oh, uh-huh.
that's totally who I am. So I've had lives there.
Yeah,
So if you have an infinity with a place or a food, more than not, you will probably have had another life in one of those places.
that's so cool. That's like that book, and I'm so mad I didn't write it down. I read it years and years ago. Remember, he was a psychologist, and he more on the science side, but he started working with people doing past lives or hypnosis. And then that's when he realized that really past life was a thing. And he even
Mhm.
says, here's a man of science, never thought that that could happen. And his outlook on life is completely different.
Totally different.
Totally different. And I can't remember the name of that guy. Do you remember that
Oh,
book? Do you know anything? Oh, I'll have to find it. It was such a cool book. And I just liked it because like he said, he was such a scientist, there's no way, blah, blah, blah. It's just because this must have happened. You put it under, the rug, like I always say, and you didn't deal with it. That's why. But the more he kept on doing it, and it was like, okay, wait a minute. This is
right.
too, crazy. Now, have you ever got anybody that comes out of it? Is there a danger to that? Like, can somebody come out of it and it bring up a trauma that they're
You
not
can definitely, if you
really
don't know what you're doing, you can bring them out too quick if they've, experienced their death. You
Mhm.
never know what's going to come through when you bring somebody in.
Right.
I'm guiding them to a place, and I'm not always sure what's going to come in. Sometimes for the people that are not open, which maybe I've only had a couple, because most people that come visit me are ready to do the work
Right.
and understand that they have a part in what they're doing. It's not just me for entertainment. You want to know I had a past life with my husband or whatever.
Mhm.
It's not so much that. I've had a couple people like that. They're really hard to guide in. Being it's Sedona, I have to be very careful. I don't let people come in that have been under the influence of alcohol. I'll cancel your appointment and not let you, book it again until you're sure you're not going to be drinking, because people are, silly like that. They
Mhm.
come in, they're in town, they're on vacation, they're drinking. I'm not going to work with somebody like that and take a chance to risk them and myself.
Right.
But just think about it. When we were so we've always had a connection.
Mhm.
You were directed to me through spirit. And
Mhm.
when I did a past life regression on myself, it came up that we had sister life in Atlantis. And when you were in your past life regression, I came through Let me just see my notes here.
Okay.
We were in a bar or something. Where were we?
Oh, for me,
Mm-hmm.
for mine, yeah. When I was coming away from the cave with the octopus, you were waiting at like a cantina bar on the other side of the island, like waiting for me. Like, okay, girl, like, what are we
Yes,
gonna
I said,
do?
what took you so long?
Yeah, like that was great. I was like, it was, but that's where, like you said, when you do any of this kind of work, you have to be very open minded, right? Because my logical brain, as soon as I saw this octopus, I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, okay, I'm just go with it. Let's just see where it takes you.
A lot of times it's a metaphor.
Yes, and it was because there was so much teaching that came from that octopus. And then when I left the cave and then I walked over the hill with all those beautiful trees, I looked down, I can still kind of see the beach, I can see the cantina, and I can see you holding the drink and you're stirring your drink looking at me like, okay, hey girl. Like it's just so funny. It was just like, oh my God, this is just so weird. So weird. But it did, even today, it's like, okay, Anne, yeah, got some work in this little area. And I think with my throat too, I don't know if you've noticed, but listen to my voice now
It's getting better.
compared to when we first started.
Okay.
What the hell,
Yeah,
man?
so let's talk about that. So what does that tell you? A lot of times, so
Crazy.
we get, not only from others, they're like a mirror to us, and
Right.
then we take it on and it sort of blocks our throat. Like, a lot of women have throat issues.
Hmm.
I've woken up during the night like gagging for air because I was like choking on my own spit when I
Hmm.
was going through a spiritual awakening. It
Oh,
was
wow.
about opening that throat access. And
Right. Right.
so now we're talking about all this stuff, and we know that you're a healer, I'm a healer. A lot of times it happens organically without us doing anything.
Right. Right.
And you're speaking what you're supposed to be doing with your life, you're doing right now. And so your throat is reacting to that. It's opening. It's like, okay, this is where I need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Because literally, when we go and play this back, my voice from the beginning to right now. I mean, I can still hear the rest, but nothing like it was. Like you would have thought I just got done smoking a pack of cigarettes before we jumped on here.
I thought you
But
sounded
yeah, there is a lot of
pregnant.
opening. And for a lot of people that are going through that and working with their throat chakra and really finding out what they need to do, I used to do a 5 minutes a day of the so I could really hear the vibration in my throat, not just right here, but really in here. And I would set my alarm and I would do it for 5 minutes. And then it's so funny. I would get very, very raw. My skin, my throat would get very raw. But yet I found myself opening up and being able to talk more freely about the stuff that I didn't want to.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Normally, I would be like, "No, no, it's okay." But I spoke and it was comfortable. It was totally comfortable speaking, and it was that, and I'm like, "Oh." So if anybody wants to know how to open their throat chakra, if you get on YouTube, there's tons of, stuff, throat chakra, how to open it up, but that was mine. I set my alarm 5 minutes and I would just sit there and go, and really do something that where you can hear the vibration in your throat. And wow, that really, really works. And then when you open up this, then somewhere else and you might be a little stuck too. But you just work on it. And then pretty soon you just feel that alignment. You feel that wholeness. And that's where I can't wait to get everybody to where they need to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Think
Yeah.
about it sometimes, because I think about it. It's like we say things or we do things, and it's like today I just said to somebody, it was like a breath of fresh air. And
Mm.
so think about it. You can feel what a breath of fresh air feels like.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a new beginning. It's like a new opening, especially I think a lot of people I'm not the only one that feels stuck right now. We've
Yeah.
been slowed down immensely, and there's a reason that's bigger than we may know behind it.
I
But
talked about that in one of our shows. It's because, like you said from the beginning, we got to hold those reins because we really got to start working on our body, mind, and soul because something is coming up and we got to be strong. We can't be exhausted.
You put it
Yeah.
on again. You got on something else. Now I gotta block them again.
Oh, that's all right. They're not doing anything to us. I don't get it. It looks like just like a whole bunch of verbiage.
So, what about you, Cherie? Have you had a past life regression, or do you have a past life you'd like to share with us?
Oh, I
There's,
bet you she does. Oh my
I
god.
think they're so interesting how they all come through. So, let me talk about while we're waiting for Cherie to answer. I know there's a lag sometimes on here.
Yeah.
I was doing my journey.
Yeah.
I went to Atlantis also, and I
Mhm.
was greeted by blue, purplish orbs pulsating energy at my ship. And it mesmerized me. Like I knew who they were. I could feel it. It wasn't a scary mesmerization. It
Right.
was like I could feel it. And they were working in my energy fields.
Was
It
it
was
different colors or was
it
it
was like a purplish blue.
okay? Okay.
And I could also have a bird's eye view. It was like orange flowers and birds and greeny, and it was all lush. Like it reminded me, we just
Mm.
saw Jurassic Park recently. It reminded me of that, like with the greenery and the lush,
Oh,
and
right.
then lots of water and stuff like that. She's done a past life a few times.
Yeah. Yeah. See? I think it's so important to do it. I really do. Good
Yeah.
for you. Now,
I
has
think you can energize your talents from the past. Like, what is it? If you were a healer in the past,
yep.
we all have a lot of throat issues too, because I know I was hung as a
Yeah,
as a as a
I
witch
remember that
back in
now.
the day.
Yep.
So I have a lot of throat things too that go on. A lot of us do. So think about it. You were a healer, a medicine woman. What else? I don't
Yeah.
know.
No,
A
that's what
witch.
I was. I love doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I know for me, it was a game changer for me when I did it too, because when it brought me to that person in the dungeon, right? I still almost need to go back and find out what that guy in the dungeon was. It really helps me open up my abilities. Yes, I totally agree. Um,
Yes, that's another
because
positive.
yeah, but then when she brought me forward and then she made me look at a little bit further up from the gentleman in the dungeon, right? And I was a healer, but in that time where it was looked at as a witchery, right? Because it wasn't in the book of how things wanted to go or how somebody else was probably ruling that area wanted me to think or whatever. And I was doing it differently.
Mm.
So yeah, so I think that's what was holding me back from now to what I am doing now because I held myself in that jar with that lid on it so tight because I was so afraid what people would think about me. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, Anne's loony. She's crazy. I can't believe she believes in that stuff.
Right.
And then when I finally said I don't give a shit, I'm just going to be who I am. Then I mean, the doors opened. I feel more calmer. Everything just kind of worked out the way it should be. And it was because that past life, it made sense. I was always worried about what other people would think of me.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm. Yeah, and so think about it. A lot of times, those abilities are there,
Mm-hmm.
and
Uh-huh.
we question them and like what it is, right? And I think one of the greatest things about past life regression is it does help and open up your abilities
Yeah.
because you understand them more. You understand that you are not just a physical being. You have other things other than your five senses that we use in this
Yeah.
human world. We
Yeah.
all have them. You and I, Cherie, we're not any different than anybody else. We've
Mm-mm.
just learned how to access them and understand them and work with them so they're helping us rather than them being a hindrance to us.
Yes, we're using the toolboxes that we already have. And once people realize that they already have it and they don't need to go look outside of it, that's when the true magic happens because you
Right.
can find all the answers within you. It's not easy. You have to really go dig into that toolbox inside of you to find what you really need. But when you do find it, it's freeing to know that you did it yourself and you get stronger on that because you can rely on yourself more than the outside world more. And
Right.
I,
It's so
I
empowering, isn't
oh,
it?
it's
It
totally
really is.
empowering, totally empowering.
It's
Yeah.
like one of those things like you can go to a psychic and you can tell me, right? Oh, Terri-Ann, you need to do this, this, and this. But if you're, I find when it's you yourself, or even if you go to a psychic and they tell you, okay, well, you need to work on your throat chakra.
Right.
But you doing it yourself that's the empowering part of
That
it.
is the empowering part. Yep. And like I always say, you know what? I think the biggest compliment is when you have people that come to you, right? That just need that guidance. Just like I came to you. I just needed that guidance. I needed that reinsurance. I needed for you just to give me those little things that I need just to help me get to where I needed to go, right? But then when somebody says, I don't think I need you anymore. And I think that is the
That is a
biggest
compliment.
compliment ever, because I'm not putting anybody down. But if you're still continuing going to the same people over and over and over again, you might be with a group, you might be with whatever, but you're not growing, you're not evolving, you're not thinking for yourself, you're not finding your own information, stop. Then you're needing that person to help you. You're not listening, you're not growing, and you're not thriving because you're not listening to your own inner toolbox. Like
Right.
I say, you need to get the tools that you need, and then hopefully you graduate by building that amazing car or whatever, right? Using the tools that we give you. But I do think it's very important to still be with like-minded people. I would go nuts if I did not have my community of like-minded
Absolutely.
people. You need that.
Absolutely.
You
I
need that. You
totally
need
agree. Hmm.
that. That helps
I
me.
totally agree that, yeah.
Yep. Help keep the energy up, and then just helping everybody else. You might not need to learn anymore, but you just need to help keep everybody else, hold that light for everybody else. And but with that being said, I don't think we'll ever be to well, at least I should speak for myself. I don't think I'll ever be at a point where I'll be like, well, I don't need to learn anymore. Dude, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly learning. Like, I think I know, but I can't even imagine you. Yeah.
No, I think I'm a lifelong learner. I say a lifelong student. What else? So another thing that past life regression helps you understand your karma and learn from what those mistakes are.
Oh.
So I like that because again, going back to like karma, we've
Mhm.
all done things that when you find out about them, you're like, what?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
so a lot of times we have killed other people. We've done bad things in other lives, and
Right.
your soul carries that. And so that karma, I don't like to always use the word karma. I think people think of it as a bad thing, but it's really not a bad thing.
Right.
It it's something that your soul contracted to do, and then when they come back they want to learn from what that experience now be on the other side of it. So think of it as like if you killed someone in past life, you may be killed in this life. It's all according to the universe. We don't make up any of this stuff. It comes from your higher self.
Yeah.
um, so if you've accessed something in a past life regression where you have hurt somebody or you've been physically abusive, a lot of times a client will come in and they can't understand why they attract narcissists or stuff like
Mm.
that. They've actually been an abuser in another life.
Right. Right.
And
Well, you know
so
what?
in this life, it's that balance.
Yeah, and I think that is that learning, your soul learns. And like you were saying, you learn, and I do believe in that. If you didn't learn in this lifetime, you're gonna go have to, and you choose to come back, you're gonna learn and learn until you get it. Because
Hmm.
I would say so many times, like even now, like, why I could be driving down a bad part of like a town. And I remember one time we were driving in LA getting to the university, um, Southern California University. And I just remember looking, and it was not a very nice neighborhood, and it was just like, how did I get so lucky? You could tell those people that, it was a hot day. There were so many people sitting outside on their sidewalks. You can tell that they probably didn't have AC in their house. And you're just like, how did I get so lucky? You know what I mean? Like, what made me so special that I get this life that really hasn't been that hard?
Hmm.
How come I get so lucky? And then you look at these other people that I'm sure they would just love to be going to a Trojan, football game. Just, I don't know. It makes me think that way. But the only way I can think of it is maybe because at one time I was there
Hmm.
in one of my lives, and I've just learned that I'm now I'm needing this, like I'm going up the ladder. That's how I look at it. Maybe
Hmm.
I was like that at one time, and I think now that I was in the dungeon, obviously, um But every year or every time I come back, I'm learning and I'm growing more and more and more, because I think our souls do get to remember that when we go back. So we're like, okay, we've already been through this. Now let me take it to this. Does that
Right.
make sense to you? Does that?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we all have these karmic relationships too. You come in with karmic relationships where you may have been the abuser and now you're going to be the abused one. So it's
Mm,
sometimes something that, because we have so much awareness now, we
right.
can clear all of that stuff. We're not going to need. So what I was shown as we will move up, I got my spiritual burps coming in again.
You're clearing, you're
Ah,
releasing.
as we're moving up in ascending and we're becoming 5D, our children who come in, our grandchildren, they are more crystalline energy. So they're not going to need to repeat those heavier, denser patterns that
Mm,
we repeated. As we go up higher, there's going to be no need for that, because we're vibrating at 3D, now we're vibrating at 5D once we get there.
right.
Or we're
Right.
starting it or whatever, however you want to look at it.
Yeah. I just want to look at it because it breaks my heart, when you get those people, because it is a battle too. Like, I guess, like how I was saying, I've had a comfortable life, right? Somebody might have a hardship of a life. And then you get those people that have like these babies, right? These innocent things, and they grow up and they already have like something as soon as they come up, or they didn't make it, you know what I mean? It's just like, why, if we're so perfect, why is that little one, you know what I mean, having so much struggle? That is so unfair. They're just brand new to this world, and they already have so much struggle, and my
Yeah.
heart goes out to that. And that's where, if I have to say that I have a struggle with spirituality now, that's where it is. Like, I don't understand if we're, how everybody, oh, we're so perfect beings. Well, if we're so perfect beings, then why are we bringing these beautiful souls into this world already with, like a condition or something?
Right.
But the only way I can do it is because maybe that soul came in like that to teach the people that brought that soul into the world
To
like
teach
that.
them, right, or so they can work on whatever they're working
Yeah,
on for
and I
their
think it's
growth
horrible,
at
but
that
it's
time.
needed. That's the only way it's gonna get through to them. That's the only way. I don't know. That's so deep thinking right there. That is so deep thinking. But for anybody that is highly, that feels like that's stuck, and they've done all their work, they've done whatever they need to do, I really highly suggest getting, um a past life regression. Reach out to Terri-Ann. She's pretty amazing. And like you said, it's your voice. Your voice is very calming, very soothing, and it takes you there extremely fast. Like, you're there extremely fast.
The
That's
more
what
open you are, the easier it is to go.
yeah.
I can put myself in now. I told you, my girlfriend, I have like a 2-minute thing that she does, and it brings me right in. And even sitting here now, I could bring myself in if I wanted to. It's so easy because we've done it before, and the more you continually do it, you're stretching that muscle. You're working that psychic muscle, really,
Yep.
that remembrance of getting into that theta state, and it's so easy to do. And I'd say it's definitely worth it for anybody that's struggling with any type of fears, anxiety,
Hmm. Or if you
suffering,
just want to know,
trauma.
you're one of those people that are kind of have that personality, like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. If you're an open-minded person and you're just curious, just do it then too.
Right.
Because if you're already a curious person, you're open-minded. And if you're open-minded, you just want to see where it goes, I think it'll be mind-blowing for somebody.
Like,
It
why did I end up with my husband now? What
yeah.
drew me? I knew him, but what drew me to him, and who were we before? I mean, when I did the first past life regression before I learned, I did a past life regression that I did with someone, and my husband killed me in a past life.
No way. Your first husband or the or
This
now?
husband.
Oh, how do you sleep at night?
Well, let me tell you. So now he agreed in this life
Hmm.
to come in and be my protector. And so for
Oh.
him, he's on the other end of it now. And so it is about that balancing of stuff, right? He was actually my brother, and he
Mm.
was jealous of me, and he killed me.
Oh, wow. Wow. And yeah, my husband was my past life in the two past life regressions I've had done.
Mhm.
Jeff both has been in there. Once as a sibling and then once as a husband.
Mhm.
I just
Mhm.
think that's just so amazing to me.
Isn't
Oh
it?
my gosh. Have you done a past life on Tim? Is he open to do it with you or no?
I've tried to take him through a regression, and
Mhm.
all I could get was this life memories.
Oh,
And he's very closed off.
yeah. But do you think also he's new? Maybe he hasn't had any, do you think anybody comes is brand new? They're not like, do you know what I
There's
mean?
talk about new souls coming in. I don't know how new. I think you have to be, I would think by now. That's
Yeah.
a hard question to answer. I would think by now everybody's had a past life or so. I can access, I know have accessed at least 6. Now, you're talking out of thousands
Mhm.
of past lives that I've had. I know I'm a very old soul. I've done this thousands of
Mhm.
times before. So I've only accessed 6 that I know of.
Wow. Wow. But that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot, but I
Yeah.
do because I do this, so I'm in the business. I
Mhm.
have people that do it. At one point, when I came back before I left from my trip, Melissa and I were doing past life regressions every week on one another, and
Mm.
I used to work with her, and we had a lot of lives together, and so it was interesting to see that. And so I would do her, and she would do me, and whatever we were learning at that time was symbiotic. It was for both of us.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of even though our past lives that we accessed at the times were different, the information was symbiotic, that it both pertained to
There
both
was
of
a
us.
lesson in that. Well, that
Mhm.
yeah, and I get that, and I do believe that that happens too, because sometimes if I do a closed room with people, it seems like the people that are going through, like, just stress for the week are the people that come. They're all going through the same
Mhm.
situation, right? Or when I do my Card Tuesdays, it always seems like the people that that need to hear that one card will all pick that one card. It's amazing how that works like that. But
Isn't it?
just because I'm reading you, somebody over there might be getting the same exact reading, being like, oh, that totally resonates with me too.
Right.
So yeah.
Or if you're doing
Yeah.
readings, like when I was uptown in Sedona at the boutique, I would do 9 readings in a day. I could pull the same card
I don't
for
know how you do that.
all I was toast.
Yeah.
I could pull the same card for all 9 people, but that card carried a different message for everybody.
Mm, yep. That is true. That's another good show, because that is true. You can pick out one card, and that card can have so many different meanings in that one card for each person. You're absolutely right.
Mhm.
You're
So what
absolutely
does that
right.
mean to you? Yeah. So
Yeah.
this was fun.
It's
Let
fun
us
for us.
know how you like our show. Like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
And we will be back next week, and we have some exciting news coming up that we're going to announce
Yay!
um,
I'm so excited.
next
And I
week.
love it. Oh my God, my voice. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love my voice is coming
I
back.
love it.
Okay, cool. All right.
All right. We'll see you
Thanks,
next
everybody.
week.